This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 23rd of April in the year 2018. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Keeping true to a promise made by the opposition leader, PPP Member of Parliament Anil Nandlal was back at the Georgia Magistrates Court this morning to file more private criminal charges against current government ministers for alleged misconduct in office. This time, Nandlal, with Bishop Juan Edgel at his side, filed charges against Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, Minister of Public Service Dr. Rupert Rupnarine, and Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson. All of the private charges are in relation to the Durban Park Jewelry project and the alleged breach of the Procurement Act with a spending of over $900 million on that project.
With Durban Park, that wooden and infested stadium could have been built for far less than what was spent. So the issue is, you have been reckless, there was no justification, taxpayers have been feeling the squeeze, and as a citizen and representative of the people, all I'm asking is that the courts be allowed to adjudicate on these matters using the same standard and judgment of, that was brought against Ashley Singh and Brazelton.
The Durban Park project has been mired in controversy. It was just after the change of government back in 2015 that the project was launched to transform the swamp and bushy lands into a facility to host events related to Guyana's 50th independence celebrations. The project initially started out as one that brought the private sector together in a partnership with the new government. But as the project dragged along and funds ran dry, the government stepped in through the Public Infrastructure Ministry and completed the project. The Attorney General Basil Williams has described the charges being filed by the former Attorney General Anil Nandlal as nothing more than malicious.
It is an aberration to the rule of law, an insult to good governance, and an abuse of the process of the court to allow such unsubstantiated recourse to our justice system based solely on malice, whim, and caprice, and no evidence of criminality on the part of ministers Ms. Lawrence and Dr. George Norton, contended by the investigatory and prosecutorial agencies of the state. To countenance partisan political private criminal charges coming out of Freedom House is a recipe for returning Guyana to the status of a failed narco state, as it was under Presidents Jagdeo and Ramatar.
And the Director of Public Prosecutions has discontinued the private criminal charges filed against Health Minister Norton and Lawrence and Social Cohesion Minister Dr. George Norton. The decision by the DPP was announced this afternoon and comes one day before the two are expected to appear in court to have the charges read to them. They will no longer have to appear. The private charges for misconduct in public office were filed against the two ministers by the People's Progressive Party through two of its current members of parliament. In a statement, the DPP said the private criminal charges for the offense of misconduct in public office, contrary to the common law instituted against Ministers Lawrence and George Norton, were discontinued by the Director of Public Prosecutions under Article 187(1) of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. According to the DPP, the charges concern a grave issue under the criminal law in relation to two serving ministers, and in the interest of good governance in the state of Guyana, such allegations ought first to have been reported to the Guyana Police Force for an investigation to be launched, and the advice of the DPP sought. PPP Member of Parliament Anil Nandlal filed the charges without first filing a police complaint. He said he decided to file the private charges of misconduct in public office after the Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force filed the charges against two former government officials of the PPP government, Dr. Ashley Singh and Winston Brazelton. Those charges will proceed. The DPP will now have to deal with the new charges filed by Nandlal against three other government ministers. Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels has reminded prison officers about a problem with smuggling within the prison system, and he has issued a warning to them against the continued smuggling of contraband into the jailhouse with a stern promise to prosecute anyone found in the act. In a letter dispatched to prison wardens, the Director of Prisons expressed grave concern over the continued smuggling of illegal items, including cell phones, marijuana, and local wine into the prisons. He said over the past few weeks, despite regular searches, authorities continue to unearth various forms of contraband. Samuel said it is likely that prisoners themselves are using their bodies to conceal the items and traffic them into the prisons, but he wants his officers not to support that type of illegal activity. The director warned that the trade of contraband, while it may seem profitable initially, is bad for the prison environment, and it creates conflict, breeds jealousy and distrust, and causes power struggles within the system. He believes too that while many prison officers are not directly involved in the trafficking of contraband, they are aware of those who are. The Camp Street jail was gutted by fire last year after prisoners set it ablaze during a protest action. A number of prisoners also escaped during that fire, and the prison officer was shot dead. And finally this evening in the courts, an Alberttown man was today remanded to jail after he was slapped with several charges, which included discharging a loaded firearm at police officers. He was also charged for the illegal possession of a gun and ammunition. 25-year-old Kieran Hines stood before Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman and denied all charges that were laid against him. The court was told that on the 16th of April in the Alberttown area, he had in his possession one Taurus pistol along with 5 matching rounds. It was further alleged that the accused on the same day discharged the loaded firearm at police officers. The police prosecutor in a statement to the court said on the day in question, the police responded to a 911 emergency call, during which the defendant was described to the officers. Upon arrival on the scene, the police approached the man who bolted from the scene while firing shots in the direction of the officers. He was, however, later apprehended by other police officers as he continued to run. Bail was refused and the man was ordered to return to court on the 14th of May. And that's your evening news bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.